Hello and welcome to another Moveset prediction. Season 3 of Dragon Ball Fighterz DLC still looking very likely to happen, so we're taking some popular requested characters, analyzing their movesets and predicting how they will behave if they make it into Fighterz. Now Raditz only had one fight in the anime, and honestly that's not a lot to pull from. But as the last Saiyan that still has his tail as a weakness, I think we can come up with a pretty unique gimmick for this guy. But let's start with his intro and victory screen. I think it'd be pretty cool if his intro was actually Raditz arriving on a space pod. The farmer with a shotgun could make a cameo right here, watching the spaceship from a distance. Don't really know how that would work if you choose to fight in space, but hey, nice cameo, right? And as Raditz emerges out of the spaceship, the battle begins. For his victory screen, something featuring his scouter would be fitting. Raditz relies heavily on his scouter, so having him being all smug and making a comment about power levels would be pretty funny in my opinion. Moving on to his normals, Raditz takes big swings, is not the type for multiple fast attacks, he's the type for few but strong attacks. As such, don't expect the downlight to actually hit low. From his fight with Goku and Piccolo, I've been able to gather some moves to give you an idea of his general moveset, but FighterZ is definitely gonna have to make some stuff up themselves if they decide to implement this character. During a flurry of attacks, you can see him using this karate chop a lot. He usually fights with his hands open, so this would be a good light attack. The end of his auto combo can be this backhand slap that he lands on Gohan, similar to the current one that Nappa has. His 2H can be his knee. First move he actually lands on Goku back at the Kame house. This kick could be his standing heavy. This punch could be his jumping light. This kick, which by the way got cut from Dragon Ball Kai, can be his jumping medium. Yeah, this guy didn't really have that many moves that I had to dig up the original Dragon Ball Z. Kai just was not enough. This reverse kick can be his jumping down heavy, and with that, hopefully you get an idea of what his normals look like. But FighterZ would have to fill in the gaps, because these are literally all the normal attacks he did in the anime. Every single one of them. Which means that for Ki Blasts, he doesn't really throw any during the battle, or at least none that don't look like a special attack or a super attack. But given his fighting style, I'm thinking he'd have something again similar to Nappa. Big Ki Blasts, slow to come off but making it up in size. Maybe he can launch them by assuming this stance. This is how he blocks Goku's Kamehameha, but previous games have used this stance to make Raditz shoot out Ki Blasts. Moving on to his special attacks, I'm adding a very small gimmick here to make Raditz somewhat unique, though bear in mind that this would require a significant change to the vanish mechanic and might not simply be possible, but as usual, I like to have fun with my predictions. So the first special move we're gonna talk about is his tail slap. When he arrives at the Kame house, he slaps Krillin in the face with his own tail. It's a close range attack, something to put into optimal combos maybe. But also, after he hits you with a tail, Raditz's tail becomes detached from his body. And just like Goku did, it can now be grabbed by your opponent. Now, the way you grab his tail should be a universal mechanic, so everyone can do it. And I'm thinking it should be a simple vanish on block. So if you're applying pressure and you vanish and the tail is out, instead of hitting him with a kick, you'll grab his tail. Now, I know what you're thinking. You can just raw vanish, this tool is too powerful. Well, not quite. Because while you are damaging Raditz simply by grabbing his tail, his real gimmick is begging for his life. So your character will let the tail go and Raditz will elbow you in the face, which basically means if you're pressuring Raditz and you use a vanish, you do get some damage out of that, but unless you kill him, you've lost your turn and Raditz is now comboing you. Wild gimmick, right? That's how we do here. When fighting Raditz, opponents need to be aware of whether or not he's got his tail out, and Raditz can just retract his tail again if it just does the special move again. So at the end of the day, this is a power in the end of the Raditz player, and it gives the opponent that extra layer of awareness that he needs to have, because he needs to constantly be on the lookout for how his tail is wrapped up his body or not. His other special moves are quite simple. First up, this double elbow could be a lariat type move. In the show, he even hits both Piccolo and Goku from the back, so the EX version can be a cross-up. The running up animation can be something like this. This is when he sprints away from a Kamehameha, and I always found this animation to be goofy, so if it makes it all the better. And his final special move is Saturday Crush, which is just a bigger priority Ki Blast. You can think of them as a beam priority Ki Blast, but it really is just a big Ki Blast. Did I tell you that Raditz was only in 3 episodes? Yeah, that's not a lot to pull from. Next up, we move on to his supers, and I'm gonna give him 2 level 1 supers and a level 3. His first super is gonna be this off-the-ground stomp. Just like when Raditz steps on Goku and he says he's gonna kill him slowly, in-game Raditz would step on the enemy character and if that first stomp connects, he will stomp him 2 or 3 more times. Close range super, probably his most damaging level 1 super given the range. Next up, the Saturday Crash. Now this is just a more powerful version of his Saturday Crush. Raditz has set his mind to kill Gohan, who had just cracked his armor, so he starts gathering this pink energy in his hand. And then Goku grabs him from behind and he doesn't actually pull this move off. To see the whole move be performed, we have to launch another Dragon Ball game, particularly Burst Limit. Raditz had this move as his ultimate in Burst Limit, and as you can see, it's a more powerful version of Saturday Crush. And finally, his level 3, everyone knows what's coming up, the Double Sunday. Raditz shoots a beam from each hand at his opponent, and in the anime he does this from the air and shoots the beams down. So I could easily see this becoming something similar to Android 18's level 1 super, where he flies into the air before shooting the super downwards. So to summarize, he goes for big and heavy swings as his normal attacks. For specials, he has the tail slap, which activates his tail gimmick, as well as a lariat and a bigger priority ki blast. And as far as supers go, he's got the off the ground stomp, the Saturday Crush, and of course, the Double Sunday. Other games have done other gimmicks like the Great Ape Raditz, which, hey, makes sense. Raditz is a Saiyan, he still has the tail. I'm sure that at some point he turned into a Great Ape, but since he never did that in the anime or manga, I don't think Arc Systems would do something like that, simply because they've never gone that far before. But hey, I've been talking this whole time, it's time to hear from you. Which character should I predict next? Which character would you like to see in Season 3 of Dragon Ball Fighterz? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Globku, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.